And stuff. Yeah, we are
So,
live.
folks, our next talk is on Python for the scientific tuning of instruments by Anirban Gupta. Go ahead, Anirban.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My talk today is on Python for scientific tuning of instruments. Although it is a very preliminary work, I wanted to present it because I'm basically not a Python guy, but I have tried my hand for by using XSpice that Dr. Ajit Kumar BP sir had discussed earlier. Made at IUSC, New Delhi. So I have used that equipment for tuning of some musical instruments, basically using Python. Right. When we are designing musical instruments, the technique that we use it has not changed since last several years, and since thousands of years. The basic process is the maker he builds an instrument, he listens to the tone of the instrument and then repeats the entire process with a slight change in the construction. And now this process is a bit tedious. And often we, as a scientific faculty, we think that it would be much easier if there was a way by which we can actually see the sound. And in this particular work, we have used XSpice as a interface between these musical instruments and our computer so that we can actually see this sound. So frequencies in this particular project, what we have done is we have used three instruments, musical instruments, basically the electronic keyboard, an acoustic guitar, and a harmonium. And we have measured the frequencies of these instruments by using XSpice. So the frequencies of these musical notes are further measured by using the Fourier transform. And what we have done is we have found the ratios of these frequencies in a particular octave and compared these frequencies, the ratios, with the just intonation scale, which happens to be the standard scale for seeing or measuring the frequencies of musical instruments to see if the musical instruments are tuned. And we have made an attempt, therefore, by to have some scientific tuning of these instruments. It would also this work would also enable us to develop some low-cost apparatus which would be required to check for the tuning of musical instruments time and again. So where did we get motivated from this? Actually, my research core is acoustics into music, and both, whether we are talking about vocal or instrumental music, it plays an important role in the cultural life of India, ancient India. Many of our ancestors traditionally were acquainted with the use of these instruments. May those be stringed instruments or maybe wind or reed instruments of different types or percussion instruments also. So it is quite probable that India has always played a vital role in the progressive evolution and improvement of these instruments, and we might have served as a source from which this knowledge of music have spread both towards the east and west. And having said that, this graphic representation of sound, it has been a very vast area of research of modern times. Uh, however, we haven't seen many people engaged in these kind of research in our area, and that is why we have taken up this kind of project. So to have a basic background of what we have done, what is an audio spectrum? The range of human hearing, as known as 20 to 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, and this we refer to as the audio spectrum. However, when we are using musical instruments or even vocals, the day-to-day sounds or musical sounds, they consist of a mixture of these frequencies. It is not that we are playing a musical instrument at only one frequency. There are many frequencies which are involved in a single piece of orchestra, if you say. So it is therefore necessary to have periodic calibration of these musical instruments. Whenever we are having mistuned or we are having detuned instruments, it always creates an unpleasant effect uh, in the crowd. So we have to project new ideas on how do we tune musical instruments. Okay, several tuners, musical tuners, ready-made tuners, electronic tuners, they are available in the market. But uh, the thing is that whether we rely on them, how do we know that they are giving us perfect result? That is a matter of great concern, because the manufacturer never gives some kind of user manuals or some kind of background theory that they have used to develop those instruments, and that is a major concern for us. So the ability, apart from that, uh, this musical sound or vocal sound is also a subjective matter, because uh, every person has his or her own ability to identify whether a music is good or bad. For example, if you're talking about a layman, he could hear any musical piece, and he could appreciate that. But if you have an expert in music who has done his visharad or something in music, he would always pick up the wrong notes or some detuned notes. And for these kind of people, it is always important that whenever we are using musical instruments, they should never go out of tune. They should never go out of tune. So the pitch is basically the fundamental component of music that professional musicians can demonstrate an enhanced ability to detect smaller frequency differences compared to these layman people or non-musicians, we may call them. Now, some psychological or medical issue, if you go into, then the left and right hemisphere of the brain also functions to identify which music is good or bad. So what we have done in this, there are many tuners which are available, but we have used this X5 as one scientific method that can be employed to tune the instruments, or at least identify the instruments which have gone out of tune, detuned instruments. Okay, so this X5 kit, it is capable of doing real-time measurements or analysis. It can analyze the data in different ways, and these data are then put into use for scientific use. So this is the simple experimental setup that we have used. On the right hand side, we can see the front panel of this X-Spice. Recent developments in X-Spice has also been done. I think X-Spice 17 is the latest one, but I have been using the one that is available, that was available with me. That is the X-Spice. I purchased it in 2014. 2015, I'm sorry. Okay, so from the musical instruments, we have used a condenser microphone, and to pick up the sounds from these musical instruments, which is, the supply we have used is a power supply which can uh, be set from the software to any value between 0 to 5 volts. We have used in this case plus 5 volts of supply, and then the signal that is obtained, this sound that is taken from the musical instruments, it is amplified by using a inverting amplifier, and which is having a gain of 50 as set in the software. And then this amplified signal is given to this X-Spice for analysis. So that is gone to the this pin, this analog input A0. That is what we have used. Okay, it can again have the input value of up to plus or minus 5 volts. So this is a schematic of the simple schematic, I would say, of the experimental setup that we have used. And this is the actual picture. So this on the computer screen, we can see that Xspice software that is installed, and we can take all the readings. The picture may not be that clear. And this blue color, this one is the Xspice kit, and we have used this condenser microphone to pick up signal sound from the keyboard. Over here, we have shown an example. This is the program code that was written in Python, and this is the code which is used for doing all the analysis, and this is the code to measure the frequency of notes. Now, so we have used an electronic keyboard, Casio made. We have used an acoustic guitar, which was Pluto, and two harmoniums were taken for detecting if the instruments have gone detuned or out of tune. And then whatever data we have obtained, we have compared it with the just intonation musical scale. This is given by Ben Johnson. We have used the one given by Ben Johnson, extended musical scale. And let us go into this observation. So here we can see that we have used one particular octave, Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha Ni Sa. Now in this particular study, it is not important which octave we are using. We can do the analysis on various octaves that are available in the instrument. However, you take one octave, and what we are interested in rather is we try to find the ratios between these frequencies that we obtained in one particular octave. And similarly, if we are testing on one octave, we can test on the other ones in the entire instrument, whatever scale we are covering. So for the electronic keyboard, we can see that the base frequency in the octave that we have used was 829 hertz, and then we have got for Re note we have got the frequency of 931. For Ga we have got the frequency 1045, and eventually for the next higher Sa we have got the frequency of 1661, 1662 o'clock. So while going from the first Sa to the next, the frequency almost doubles. That is what we have observed in the keyboard. For the harmonium, similarly, we have tested the harmonium for mistuned or detuned, if the harmonium, some keys are mistuned or detuned, and we have obtained these frequencies where the base frequency was 427.9, and then the next Sa was again 429. Okay, we will come to the analysis. The next harmonium also we tested with this is a different harmonium. The base frequency was 421, and similarly we have tested an acoustic guitar. So the strings which represent Saregama Padhanisa we have found out, and the frequency of the string C was 128, which was corresponding to the Sa note. And then the next Sa was at C with the frequency of 260. So this is a standard scale or the just intonation music scale we are talking about, and this is the standard taken up from Ben Johnson's notes. So this is something, and we have compared all the frequency ratios that we have obtained in these instruments with this JIMS, just intonation music scale. We have plotted a graph of the ratio of frequency with these notes, and this pink color one, it represents the just intonation music scale, that is the standard. So as it is very clearly observed from the graph, except for the electronic keyboard, which is the black one, it coincides almost with the just intonation musical scale. However, the harmonium one, it is found, the red one, the red line, it is found to be totally untuned or detuned, and same is the case with the second harmonium in blue. It is completely detuned, and the guitar we have used this brown one. We can see one peak. Otherwise, rest of the notes they are coinciding with the standard just intonation musical scale. But there is one particular string which appears to be detuned. So now what we have done is we have uh, tuned this string. We could not do it with the harmonium because it requires some skill and labor. We have tuned this string of the guitar. We have tightened the screw, and then we have taken the readings, and we have repeated it a few number of times. So this is the one, the fit that is obtained using the Sa note of electronic keyboard. This is just an example. And from this window, we can directly obtain the frequency of the string. And this is excellent grace, how the graph looks like. This is the Fourier transform that we have obtained. So here we get the peak uh, for the electronic keyboard, the first basic base Sa for the octave, and it clearly confirms it is somewhere around 830. So this peak confirms that whatever readings we have taken are correct. So this is the Fourier transform that we have obtained. And after trial and error that we have done with the string A, this was the string A, if we see, the frequency suddenly, the ratio of the frequency suddenly jumps to 3 for dha. And according to this musical scale, for dha it should be 1.67. So we have done some trial and error, and we have we could tune the string A, and then we have observed the frequency to be 215, and the ratio comes around 1.68, and it was 1.67. So yes, this method works, and we can actually confirm that whatever we are doing is correct. Whatever we are doing is correct. And similarly, for all the other musical instruments, like if we are using the harmonium or the guitar, harmonium, or even other strings of guitar, they could be tuned in the same way. So the frequencies were obtained, we confirmed it with the Fourier transform. And for harmonium, basically, if you are having these reeds of the harmonium, you have to varnish or you have to file these reeds very carefully so as to not bend these reeds. If they are bent or if they are broken, then you have to change it. And therefore, we did not try to do that as of now, but we will be doing it in future. So that's all about whatever basic thing we could do using this Python and XPrize. And I would like to thank Dr. Ajit who have helped me, who have actually taught me how to use XPrize, Dr. Abakar from Wadia College Pune and Dr. Dane Jiras from Concordia for some thoughtful discussions on these instruments.
Thank you, Anirban.
So
So we're out of time, and unfortunately, there's not enough time for questions because you've taken all your 15 minutes and the break as well. So if there are any questions, please ask on the chat here or on the chat.scipy.in, and we will now move on to our next talk.
okay. Shall I stop the screen and leave, sir?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
And Jaydev, you can do the honors for the next talk.
So the next talk is by the FOSSEE team, which is about Yaksh, an LMS system built with Django. So I hand it over to the FOSSEE team. Ankit, Aditya, whichever of you is around.
Yeah.
Please go.
Yeah. So Aditya here. Yeah. So I'll be explaining about Yaksh. Just let me. Okay. I'll just start sharing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So welcome all. Hope you are enjoying the SciPy. So we have an in-house FOSSEE project which is called as Yaksh, which is an LMS-based system built with Django. So one of my partner, Ankit, for some reason he is not yet available. He'll be joining shortly. I'll just quickly go through this. So where is the motivation for this? So basically at PyCon APAC 2011, Chris Bosch created a Django app wherein he had an interactive session where he gave some programming Python quiz, and the audience basically submitted. They got instant feedback. So it was a fun and interesting way of learning new skills. So we found out that instant feedback system is useful for testing, also automatic grading, because it reduces a lot of effort for the faculties, teachers, whoever will try to use. Then going about Yaksh, so it's open source, it's readily available. I'll just share the link at the end. It's built over Django, and we have lesson and quiz based learning. So basically you can set up lessons. The lesson will contain some textual information, maybe a video, like maybe a YouTube video or something. Then maybe you can set up quiz with a lot of different types of questions. So these are some of more features of Yaksh. So while setting up the quiz, we do have support for languages like Python, C, C++, Java, R, Scilab, and Bash. So we have multiple question types as well. That is multiple choice, like fill in the blanks. Then you can arrange the options, assignment-based uploads, and obviously coding-based. Then at the faculty end, while the quiz is running, a faculty or a moderator can moderate the quiz almost real time. You get a response like for the submissions, how the things are going with students. Then, as I mentioned in the previous slide, you can create a video or text-based lesson. Then you can also track the lessons, indicating like where the students have been throughout the whole course. Then also, this is a very recent feature which we have added, like you can add in-video quizzes. So while the lesson video is running, you can add questions in between, so it pops up, and then student can attempt that, and then you get a feedback response like whether he is following up the lesson properly or not. So yeah, so where we use, so far we have used in various places, as you can see, in teacher training programs, then various courses. One of the recent courses which Professor Prabhu Ramachandran was using Yaksh for. Then we have FOSSEE recruitment tests. Then there is one more project called Spoken Tutorial where they use Yaksh for certification tests. Also, we had, due to this pandemic situation, we got a few requests from other colleges as well outside IIT where they used Yaksh and they were pretty impressed with this. I'll now quickly move to demo because we are running short of time. I hope you can see my screen. So this is the so is the website visible? So this is the link.
Make it a bit bigger if you want.
Yeah, just a second. Is it visible now? Clear?
Better.
Yes. Okay. So this is the student interface. Once you log in, then you can see all the available courses here. These are the open courses which are available. So I am currently enrolled in a demo course which is created internally. I will show that later as well as a part of moderator interface. So these are just some information about the course. I'll just quickly start. Yeah, then we have this module. So this module is basically a wrapper around the lesson and quiz per se. And then, so module can contain a lesson or a quiz. Then let's start this. So basically there are no attempts. I'll start. Demo quiz. Yeah, so this is what the quiz interface is like for a student. When they are attempting, so you have this question palette where, I mean, the navigator where you can quickly navigate through the questions. So this is one of the type, like fill in the blanks. I can just quickly submit something. Yeah, so I got it. Then I'll quickly go through program. Yeah, so this is a C program. Tag and A, B, and C. And return A. I hope this works. Yeah, so apparently the code worked, but then there is the return is partially wrong because I haven't added every value. So you get an error message like this. So if let's say I do some syntax errors, what happens? Okay, so there is a compilation error. So this is basically for C. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have some bunch of languages. This is one more type of question. This is an arrange based question where you can arrange the option like, and then you can check like if the flow is proper or not for this code. Then yeah, so this is a bash based question. We have Java as well. I don't know where the Python one is. Okay, so we have something like Python. What? Sorry. Okay. It's checking. Yeah, so basically this is a standard input output based question where an input will be given using this a user prompt input, you can say. Whereas the expected output is this. We got this, which is wrong, obviously. Yeah, so that's pretty much the quiz interface. I'll just quickly quit. You can see all the submissions here, like whatever is attempted, not attempted. Then go to the next. Yeah, so So this is the lesson where I have just added a demo video. I hope this does not cause an issue. It's from SciPy 2018. We have a demo SciPy keynote as a lesson description. So I can just quickly view in the lesson. So there is also something called as in-video quizzes, which I'll show again later. I'll just quickly, okay, I'll just quickly move. Moderator, yeah. So this is the moderator interface you have. So you can see all the courses here, whichever you have created, or where in some of the courses you may have been added as a teacher to the course. That is one more small feature we have. Just quickly to this. So this is the courses page where you can search, filter, all sorts of things. Then you have manage. So if I go into this demo course, this is the demo course which I actually attempted. So you have all those features related to course here, like you can view student enrollments, like if there are any requests, enrolled, rejected, so on. You have, so you can see we have this list of students who are enrolled. Then you can see this basically. Then added modules to the course. You can add multiple modules. The modules can contain lessons. Then if you see this, so this is the interesting thing. It's not yet loaded. Yeah. So this is the lesson where you can add in any notes. Description. Yeah, and so in here you can also add some math related functions using MathJax or something like that, which is based on a syntax with LaTeX. So here is the video. So also this is a video which is taken from YouTube. So if you can see, this is the YouTube and this is the ID. You can just quickly add, or you can add your own video. You can upload it here. So I'll just quickly add one. Marker points. So let's say at 10, add, yeah, so topic. Then I can add a whole maybe. Demo poll. Submit. Nothing, so suppose. So at 20 maybe. And yes. Let's save it. So we have some table of contents for this lesson. If you can see at this at the top. This is basically the area where you can see, so basically you can upload as well. So it's in a YAML format, which is really a bit tricky to add. But then it's interesting because at a single go, you can add all sorts of, I mean, all types of in-video topics or quizzes. So I have made these two. So if I go back again to student, continue. So this is the student interface again. This is the demo lesson. So the table of contents, whatever I have added, it's shown up here. I'll just click on it. It quickly takes me to that particular position. Then I have this demo poll where wherein I created from the moderator interface. I'll just submit something. Yes. Yeah, so it's saved. So this is a simple part of this. Then in the lesson, you can also add some comments if you want. Good comment. Submit. So here is the good comment, the comment which I added. So you can, so basically if there are any issues with the lesson or anything, so students can quickly write in here, and maybe the moderator or faculty can look up the comments and address those. Then we move again. Yeah. So the student interface is pretty much done. Now we are again back to the moderator interface. So as I was mentioning previously, so there was a quiz which I attempted. So you can actually monitor that. That's actually done. I have quit that, but yeah. So this is what the monitor interface looks like. So I have 3 students who are submitting. I left the quiz in between, so the timer is still running. Well, I can increase the time for a particular student or maybe for a bunch of students, so that if there is any issue during their quiz, I can extend it to a certain amount of time. They can attempt it again. Uh, then we have this quiz statistics, which is also a nice thing to have, wherein you can quickly go through like what are the submissions you got, or if there is any difficult question, easier question, what was the level of the question which you set. You can quickly go through that, like how many students have submitted, what percentage of the students have submitted it right or wrong. That's what. Uh, then you go to quizzes. So statistics is done. Sorry. Yeah. So then you have this grader section, which is sort of an automated grading is already done, where you can view all the things. So monitor is basically just an overall wrapper where you can see quick info of the quizzes, like I showed you. This is more of an elaborate version of that. I guess we are running short of time. So you have
almost out of time now.
Yeah, I'll just quickly wrap up. Just 2 minutes. Yeah, so this is the regrade. You can quickly regrade any question or any paper, the whole paper or the student paper. Then we have this quiz interface wherein you can quickly create question. So as you can see, I have already created a question which is here. Short of less time to do, but yeah, I hope I am not going too fast. You can actually quickly test a question. Once you create it, you can quickly test it. You can download it, delete it, whatever you can do, search by tags and everything. Then one last thing which is left is post module. So we have this lesson statistics, which I mentioned. Yeah. Yes, so this is the lesson statistics. So this indicates like what is the progress of the students, what's viewed, what is not viewed yet for that particular lesson. So where is the student yet doing, what is he doing, blah blah blah. Then we have this quiz details. So there was an in-video poll, so I can quickly get the details.
Yes.
Thanks, Aditya. I think we are quite out of time.
Yeah, okay, I'm done.
Cool. Thanks a lot. So Aditya is going to be around. Feel free to drop your questions on the stage or on the chat channel. The next talk is by Steny Sebastian, and she's going to be speaking about non-epidemiology-based COVID-19 case forecasting models using Python libraries. Steny is a data scientist at Kaplan, and over to you, Steny.